What's going on, everybody? Larkish here, and this is going to be my episode 3 review of the Acolyte, also known as Hot Garbage or the Midcolite. So, I just want to say right away, this episode is super dumb. It contradicts itself over and over and over again, every single chance it gets. From the plot holes to ruining established lore about the Force to saying one thing and then completely retconning it seconds later. Like, this show is just doing the impossible. I've never heard of a show that's not connected to the main lore or main timeline, and it still manages to ruin that main lore and timeline. Like, they got that. I don't know how they did it, but good for them for doing that, I guess. So right off the bat in this episode, we're introduced to May and Osha's relationship when they were kids. So this is one of those flashback / kind of filler-ish episodes. So Osha is sitting in the forest chilling with this butterfly-like thingy, and she's using the Force to play with it gently. And then here comes her sister May, who has an unhealthy attachment to her twin sister. And she kind of uses the Force on the butterfly, but in an aggressive way, and is hurting the butterfly. And this upsets Osha, of course. And Osha's like, yo, what's your problem? After the confrontation, they get found by one of their moms, who looks like she is from planet Dathomir. So she looks like she's the same race as Darth Maul or the other Night Sisters. And she makes them come back home. And then that's when we see a young version of Master Soul spying on them. We don't know why they're being spied on just yet, but yeah, he's spying on them for now. So right after they're taken home by their mom, we get introduced to their home village, and it's like a small village, nothing much to it. And then we get introduced to their other mom. Some will argue their actual mom. So as soon as I saw these two, I already knew what was coming next. So it turns out they're lesbians, they're together. And it's like, alright, cool. And the Dathomirian mom is like, yo, Osha should be punished, she went outside the gates again. And the regular mom is like, no, that's normal behavior for the child. So yeah, this is one of those relationships where one parent is just super mean and the other one is actually normal and chill, kind of like the twins. And then we cut to another scene where they're like training, right? So the regular mom is just talking about the Force and how it's a thread that ties your destinies together. And everybody's listening and all that, but you can see in the background, I think it was May, she starts fighting with Osha for no reason. She's like, pay attention. And they're just fighting, and then they stop. And then it looks like she's doing the same thing, where she's like, pay attention. And then they just keep fighting for no reason, and May is just starting the fights at this point. So then they get a demonstration on how they could be so strong in the Force that not even the power of many can stop them, right? And May is excited about this, but Osha is not. Osha's whole thing is that she just wants to be her own person. She doesn't want to be attached to her social norm, and she doesn't want to share everything with her sister May. After that, we're introduced to their ritual, which is something that they use to kind of promote the girls of their planet into becoming actual witches, or to begin their training into becoming actual witches. So this is called the Ascension, and it's basically kind of like their version of a baptism. And they're like, oh, would you promise in my death to take care of our knowledge, our lore, and pass down our teaching? And they will both have to say yes. So May, of course, says yes, and Osha is hesitant to say yes because, again, she wants to be her own person. But right before Osha could say yes, the Jedi come in. Now, the Jedi's whole thing for being here is that they heard that the witches on this planet were having children and they were training them. But Master Indara says that, oh, we heard you have children, and that's against the Galactic Republic law. And then the Dathomirian mom is like, oh, we don't have children, I don't know what you're talking about. But they get, discovered anyway, because Osha is just terrible at hiding or listening to instruction. So then they see the kids and they go, oh, you could train with us. When literally 30 seconds ago, they were saying the opposite when they were like, oh, these kids aren't allowed to be here and you're not allowed to train them. So they're kind of hypocrites right here. The witches can't have kids and train them, but you guys could go to their planet and train their kids. Like pick a side here. It's really stupid. And what makes this scene even more worse is that everybody here in this scene at some point were kids themselves, I assume. So why are the Jedi just now saying something? Is it these specific kids? Were they being children for a long time and the Jedi didn't notice? We'll never know, because they're only focused on the two twins that we have now, when they could have been focused on everybody else who grew up to be young and old in there. Also, we don't even know how the Jedi discovered that the witches were having kids. We're just shown the episode, and then we're just shown that the Jedi are on the planet spying on them already. But we have no context of how these kids being born or created were discovered by the Jedi. We have no context of that. And I've also noticed something else while watching this episode up to this point. So not only does the twins not have a father figure, but nobody on this planet has a father figure. It's kind of weird. I'm looking around each scene and I only see females. I don't see any male figures. So maybe they died for the plot conveniently. I don't know. It's just weird. So anyway, after that, the kids go off with the Jedi to be pop quizzed in order to see if they're worthy of being trained or not. So while that's happening, the grown-up witches are having a discussion about it, and here is where we get an explanation for why there are no fathers around.
I carried them. I created them. And what happens if the Jedi discover how you created them?
So the explanation is that the regular mother and the Dathomirian mother created May and Osha using the Force. That's right. The Force is no longer a mystical being no one understands that allows you to do slightly abnormal things. No, the Force is just something you can use to do whatever you want with it, such as create people completely from scratch. Usually you need a father and a mother to make a child, but not here for some reason. So stupid. So right before the twins start the Jedi training, May, who feels like she has to control every aspect of Osha's life, tells her to lie and pretend to fail the test so that they could stay together forever and ever. And Osha promises to do this, but then she just can't handle the truth. She has to tell the truth. She really wants to be a Jedi, so she ends up passing the test with some convincing from Jedi Master Soul. So as soon as she comes out the ship, May is right on to her. She already knows that she passed the Jedi test, and this makes her really mad. After that, Osha's chilling in her room, and May comes by and argues with her for a little bit. Then she locks Osha in her room and sets the room on fire. So at this point, May is just crashing out because she's being too emotional right now that she won't be with her sister forever. And eventually this causes the whole town to be on fire and falling apart. And then as we go through the wreckage, Jedi Master Soul rescues Osha and he's getting her to safety, and we see the other magical witches like the mother and everyone else, they all die somehow. Maybe it was from falling debris, or maybe someone killed her. And the way that everything was shot, they're trying to make it set up as if May killed all of those witches by herself, which should be impossible because she's only a child and she hasn't experienced everything about being a witch, nor has she has full experience with her force powers just yet. So I don't know what killed them, but maybe we'll never know. Then the episode ends with it being confirmed that Osha was safely rescued by the Jedi from dying, as she's slowly but surely recovering. Meanwhile, May goes back to their tree spot from the beginning of the episode, and she calls out for Osha as if she didn't just try to kill her. Then she thinks that Osha is not alive because she never shows up to that tree spot, which makes her start crying again. Yeah, so this episode was super terrible. It's just the lowest of the low I've seen the series go so far. We're only in episode 3 out of 8. It's just embarrassing, really. Like, they literally took every chance they could to contradict themselves. They mess with how the Force works. The Force shouldn't be used to create children by other people. There's that thing out there where it's stated that maybe Anakin was created by the Force itself to bring balance to the Force eventually. But we can't have people like these two creating Force twin babies at their own free will like that. Like, she literally got the Dathomirian girl pregnant by using the Force, which is just unheard of. Then after that, we still don't even see why Torben kills himself in episode 2. So we definitely are gonna need some more flashback in the next episode. Otherwise, his death will be the dumbest death in Star Wars, because he feels guilty about his quote-unquote crimes that May wants him to admit, but we don't see those crimes anywhere. We just see him get controlled temporarily by another witch, and then that's it. All the Jedi seem like genuinely good people. So everything just went wrong because May couldn't handle not being with her sister for a few more milliseconds. That's it. So May's motivation for doing everything is really stupid, and it's all her fault. I don't know how anybody thought this was good writing when they were making the show, because it's really not. It just contradicts the whole show itself. And watching these episodes, knowing that these are kind of like Night Sisters that we've seen in the Clone Wars era and further, I really wished General Grievous was alive during this time so he could just slaughter every last one of them. In the Clone Wars series, General Grievous was sent to planet Dathomir, and he slaughtered almost every Night Sister on that planet by himself. So we could have really used him here. Maybe he would have stopped May from spreading that fire. Maybe he would have gotten rid of all these bootleg Night Sisters so we can stop using the Force to get other people pregnant, so we could just have people be born the regular way. If only General Grievous was here, he could have saved Star Wars from whatever this is. So that's going to be about it for my episode 3 review of the Acolyte. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.